Welcome to today's episode of the Zero Harm Innovation Partners Program podcast. I am Serene, the Senior Partnerships Advisor in RightShip, and will be moderating today's session. We will be diving into a critical yet often overlooked area of maritime safety, which is mooring operation. Despite it being a routine on shipboard's life, mooring operation remains one of the most hazardous activities on board. Incidents related to rope failure and snapback zone have often led to serious injuries and even fatalities. But innovation is changing that. Joining me today are three guests bringing perspective from different points of the value chain. We have Thomas Karadek, Product Management and Planning Director, Mooring Solutions, Wilhelmsen Ships Service, Hakon Loksnegard, Marine and Betting Superintendent Grieg Star, and Tender Umek, Head of Operations, EMEA RightShip. Together, we'll explore how technology, operational insights, and industry collaborations are reshaping mooring safety one line at a time. But before we dive into this discussion, I would like to invite each of our speakers to briefly introduce themselves, just a minute to share who you are, your current role, and your connections to mooring safety. So let's start with Hakon.
Yeah, I'm Håkon, and I've been working more than half of my life in the maritime industry. My current position is vetting and marine superintendent, as you said. We are in Grieg Star, a company operating 28 general cargo, open hatch vessels with about 50,000 tons dead weight. I got my sailing experience from chemical tankers back in the days.
Right, thanks, Hakon. Tender, would you like to go next?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Serene. Well, I'm based in London, and I'm working here with the RightShip's operations team for the past 9 years. In another life, I was sailing. I was a seafarer, and I obviously, like any other seafarer, I was involved in mooring operations, and over the past 9 years in my remit with RightShip, I've been reviewing lots of cases that involves mooring related incidents and cases. And I'm excited to be here and with you and Thomas and Hakon to talk about this important issue and see what is out there.
Thanks, Tender. Thomas?
Yeah, thank you, Serene. As you said, my name is Thomas Karek. I'm heading the product development and the product management side of the mooring solution at Wilhelmsen Ships Service. So I think that's very much the philosophy that we have at Wilhelmsen. Our vision, if you might see it in our website and different places, is to shape the maritime industry. Sounds a bit buzzwords, but it's really what drives us every day. So we are really continuously pushing for innovation and bringing safer products to the market, especially for the mooring solution segment. So that could be both physical products, digital solutions, technical services, training programs, etc. So pretty much always with an objective to improve efficiency, but mainly safety for the mooring operations.
That's great. Thanks, Thomas. So let's get started. So as mentioned earlier, mooring operations is one of the most hazardous operation in vessel call today. And today we'll explore how innovative solutions like Timm Snap Back Arrestor and line management plan are reshaping mooring safety at sea. Thomas, could you just give us a quick overview of both solutions and what kind of feedback you've received from crews using it?
Yeah, so I think it's as I said, we have two products that are part of the Zero Harm Innovation Program with RightShip. It's the Line Management Plan, or LMP, and the Snap Back Arrestor, or SBA. We love abbreviation in the maritime industry, so I'll try to keep track of that and not use them too much. And both the products are improving safety for the seafarers from two different angles. So if I just take a couple of minutes to explain that. So if you look at risk from a more generic approach, there's two ways to reduce risk. You can reduce the probability of the event happening in the first place. So the mooring rope snapping in our case, or you can reduce, and usually in combination of the two, you can reduce the effect or the severity of the mooring rope snapping here. So the probability is really how do you reduce the chance of the rope snapping in the first place. That's where our LMP is coming in. So obviously you need to start with reliable, compliant, good quality products to start with. That's quite a given. But also how do you manage those products in operation? That has a big influence on reducing the probability of the risk happening. And that's where line management plan, LMP, again abbreviation, is very useful. So to simplify, it's an advanced logbook, which is digital. So it's only a digital, no paper platform. And it helps keep track of the inventory of the ropes on board the vessel, both the inventory, but also the usage of the ropes, how long they've been used, since which date, the certificates. So you have the certificates digitally, not having to look for papers all the time when you have an inspection. But also, very importantly, the history of the inspection of the ropes, so you can keep track of when they were inspected and what was the condition of those ropes. So it makes it easier to follow up also when do you need to inspect those ropes? What's the regime of inspection? When do you need to end the ropes, if that's part of your operations, or even when to retire the ropes. So it's much easier to keep track of that. And in addition, as part of LMP, we have a module that we call line lengths, which we introduced a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now already, time flies. And that's all, again, to simplify the inspection process for the crew. So basically, to simplify again, it's just you take a picture of the rope, upload it to LMP, and then that line length module will help basically tell you directly if the condition of the rope is acceptable or not. So it's we call it a second opinion for the crew. So it makes the inspection process much easier. So all of that's help as at reducing the probability of the rope snapping. But obviously you cannot reduce that probability to zero. That's not possible. Any risk, you cannot reduce that to zero. So when the accident happened, when the rope do snap, how do you ensure that it does the least damage to both to personnel in terms of injury, and also damage to equipment? So that's where our SBA Snap Back Arrestor comes into play. And that's a technology we introduced back in 2018, 2019, which is qualified by DNV. I think today we're the only manufacturer with an anti-snapback rope, which is qualified by Class Society, actually. And that's an additional feature which is located at the core of our ropes, which absorbs energy. When the rope snap, you have enormous energy levels. So that SBA will absorb part of the energy, so it's reducing the severity of the risk. And now for the VSS at Wilhelmsen, we are just standardizing now all our products to SBA ropes. So we stop selling non-SBA ropes in the future. So we're committed to that, improving safety, and that will be just as standard products. So both of those products, in combination, obviously, with the knowledge and the experience of the crew on board the vessel, but that's obviously a very important factor. Both the products helps significantly improve the safety of the mooring operation, and that's the feedback also that we get from the vessels. We have got several feedbacks and comments of incidents happening, and confirmation that, especially for the SBA, that the rope did work with the SBA function, and part of the energy was absorbed, which reduced in a much less dangerous situation. And we see also, I think one of the good feedback that we see is companies like Grieg, for example, and others, really being committed to improving safety for their crew and standardizing their vessels to a safer product. So I think that's also showing the commitment from the operations to standardize on safer products.
Right. Yes. Thanks, Thomas. I think it's definitely good to hear, how the products was developed, in terms of with the operational part, being well thought out of, because at the end of the day, it is the crew who is going to be maintaining the mooring ropes. And now, if we moved on to the other side of the implementation, Hakon, your team have been working directly with these ropes and tools on board. What kind of improvement in safety or operations have you seen since such integration of such solutions?
I think I will start with just looking back a few years, actually about 5 years. There was a movie online with presentation of a new mooring line, a snapback arrestor. We saw the difference between the standard mooring line and the mooring line with the snapback arrestor. There was a stress test, and when the regular mooring line snapped, it released all the energy. And we could see what hazardous event taking place compared to when the snapback arrestor line snapped and the energy was absorbed in the arrestor. It was amazing. So I think going forward from that, all shipping companies taking safety seriously and are committed to mitigate the hazards on board. And we know that the mooring operations is one of the hazardous operations that take place. The mooring line with the snapback arrestor, it makes a difference if something happens, for sure.
Thanks, Hakon.
So, yeah.
Oh, so sorry. So I was just going to add on that I think Thomas previously has shared like a video on the impact, or at least the power absorbed by the snapback arrestor in our early discussion, and I could actually see the energy that was actually reduced and minimal or at least no impact to the human, to the mannequin then in the video. So I'm not sure if we saw the same video, but at least from what I saw from Thomas, what we've discussed earlier, I could actually see the energy and how much it has resolved.
Yeah, correct. So that was an eye-opener, actually. There is a product that could mitigate the hazards when it comes to mooring operations. That is the product, or the tools. Then we got the training, and then that we got the procedures. But equipment and design, we are into something. Definitely. It was also mentioned the line management plan, except from it's also statutory to have a line management plan. It's a good tool for us. It combines our own guidance, maintenance, inspection records, retirement protocols based on manufacturers' guidelines, which allows us for timely planning on purchase. So the package fills our needs. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Hakon, for sharing, your insights, on what you have experienced and all this outcome that, even the crew has seen. So perhaps let's take a step back and look at the broader picture. So Tanner, based on your experience, so what are the key risks and challenges you have observed around mooring safety?
Well, it has always been an issue, isn't it? Probably it has been spoken about more over the past few years because requirements have become more stringent, and that makes perfect sense, because the risk involved with inadequate mooring arrangements is huge. At the end of the day, we are relying on 10 to 12 pieces of rope holding tens of thousands of tons, and on top of that, there is this environmental conditions changing all the time, like wind, seas, currents, the impact of passing traffic. They're even adding more load on mooring ropes, and I'm sure those who have sailed or still sailing would easily relate to what I'm going to say. Even though my sailing days ended, that groaning and creaking sound of a mooring rope still gets me nervous. Because as a seafarer, I know the line parting isn't rare, and when it happens, it can cause some serious consequences. So seafarers suffer from life-changing injuries, sadly, losing their lives, and failing mooring rope would cause harm to workers ashore as well. Or a vessel losing her ropes would cause harm to other vessels nearby, or shore infrastructure, or the environment. In our platform, we have over 500 mooring incidents recorded, and the severity of those events vary. Over the last year, we have recorded 2 findings during our RightShip inspections, 2 findings per inspection, solely related to mooring arrangements. So, and many of those things were linked to the condition, the maintenance, and overall suitability of mooring ropes and the mooring equipment. So while there are clear guidance and guidelines in place, gaps in compliance and risks still exist. And obviously, rules and requirements are expected to be met, and as an industry, we are progressing in high level of compliance, and the requirements, the expectations are also getting more stringent. But more advanced tools and equipments are also needed. That's for sure, and that's to support seafarers and providing them with safer tools, so they're exposed to less risk.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. Yes, it is important that, while mooring issues is going to mooring operation is going to remain, we definitely need innovative solutions to address such important and hazardous operations. So as we wrap up, today's discussion, I'd just like to hear from all of you. How do you see innovations like what Thomas was sharing aligning with regulatory expectations and the industry's push towards a safer mooring standards? Akon, do you mind sharing? Would you like to start?
It might be early to say that, but I'm convinced that the good line management combined with the innovation with the snapback arrestors, like we are talking about here today, it will improve safety. It does, and time will show.
Thomas, what about from your point of view?
I think it's LMP to start. That's actually a result from requirements from OCIMF MEG 4 back in 2018. So when we created it, that was a direct influence from the regulations. And now we see that we add up on what are the requirements to add more features, etc. So we go beyond the regulation, and I think it's that's also important. So it's one thing you have the regulation, but it's sometimes takes time, to catch up with the new products on the market. to really push forward. So I think it's important also to see the commitment from again, like Grieg Star, like really being committed to use and drive the change, and sometimes the regulation catches up as well. So for SBA, we see that the IACS, so the International Association of Class Societies, they have in their recommendation Rec 10 documents, which is from a few years ago already. It says that we recommend the use of anti-snap back ropes as a general terms. So there is more recommendation coming in the push for safer products. But I think it's also good to look beyond the regulation and really drive the change when you're committed to safety for the seafarers.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Thomas. Tanner, would you like to give your thoughts on this also?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, shipping is heavily regulatory driven, and that's usually the main sort of drive and sort of trigger to do better. As Thomas mentioned, the more regulations and requirements come in place, the expectations and workload on seafarers and also staff ashore is increasing, and they need to be supported. They need to be provided with smarter, more efficient, and also safer tools. So having a software is a no-brainer. Like the days of keeping logs on a spreadsheet or sort of hard copy in folders is no longer efficient enough. And the importance of record keeping, tracking, knowing what has happened. Only a few months ago, perhaps, not even, we don't need to go to years back, it is becoming more important. And with all these sort of change in ways of communication between a ship and a shore, using digital tools makes perfect sense and reduces the likelihood of issues being missed out or ignored or sort of get lost when there was a crew change or people ashore is changing roles and moving away, so on and so forth. And from the equipment perspective, I consider mooring ropes as an everyday tool on board. And we don't see innovation on everyday tools very often in shipping. And I take it really seriously that providing seafarers and the industry with safer mooring ropes is extremely important and valuable. And I'm sure seafarers working with such equipment is appreciating it and feeling it. So absolutely, innovation to support seafarers and ashore staff is extremely important, and we should be driven more for innovation and enabling those professionals with better tools.
Right, thanks, Tanner. I think it's really obvious to see that, having such digital tools can actually help the crews or in their mooring operations, and, having the perspective of, the people creating such innovative digital tools have gone through this whole process. So they know how the operational process and thus they can create a tool that can facilitate, to kind of actually minimize their the danger that they may feel during this whole process. So yeah, so thank you all for your insights and experience, in sharing today's discussion. It's clear that mooring safety is no longer just about ropes. It's about smart design, data, and collaboration. Innovations such as the Timm Snap Back Arrestor and line management plan shows how we can turn everyday operation into safer ones, protecting crews and raising the bar for the industry. Thank you for your time, and if you'd like to learn more, please refer to the Zero Harm Innovation Partners Program page.